Hello everyone and welcome to my Bachelor Nation 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Joan Vassos admits retro senior prom is the perfect first date. The Golden Bachelorette Joan Vassos got to meet her 24 men last week during the inaugural episode of the show. While she had to cut ties with 4, she still has 20 men to speed date over the next few weeks. Unquestionably, she has many big decisions ahead, but she admits that having a throwback to senior prom was the perfect first date. Joan Vassos has her work cut out for her. Although Joan Vassos' journey has just begun, she is off to a great start getting to know her guys. Undeniably, she has a wonderful group of guys to pick from. While there are a few red flags that viewers have spotted, the crew seems to have fun. However, it is too early to tell the men's true colors. Undeniably, Joan has her work cut out for her to determine who she will take with her to the end. In a preview for the newest episode of The Golden Bachelorette, the seniors are having the time of their lives returning to a throwback senior prom. Retro prom heaven. During the upcoming episode of The Golden Bachelorette, the preview teases a great first group date. But Bachelor Nation didn't spare any effort when setting up Joan Vassos' retro senior prom. Since most of the Golden Bachelorette men would have gone to prom in the 80s, Bachelor Nation had them set up in a decked-out gymnasium with balloons, silver streamers, retro punch bowls, and powder blue suits. Among the men vying for her time and attention on the spectacular throwback date were Mark Anderson, Bob Kilroy, Jonathan Roan, Jordan Heller, Gary Livingston, Keith Gordon, and Guy Gansert. Each is moving and grooving to the music. They posted throwback photos from each of the attendees' original prom, showing a classic recreation of their memory lane. Each of the photos shows a glimpse at the men in their prime and showcases some of their personality. Furthermore, Joan and Jonathan connect over his past photo and how young he appears. She asks how old he is there, and he guesses he was a sophomore. But they also had a photo set for the guys to capture their prom date with Joan. Although it was a fast and furious evening, Joan seemed to enjoy revisiting the past while she searched for her future love. Joan Vassos has a big choice to make. However, it wasn't all fun and games. Not only is winning over Joan's heart part of the mission, but these men are duking it out to gain the coveted title of Golden Bachelorette Prom King from their magical lady. Furthermore, Jess Palmer gets everyone excited, saying, "Thank you so much for being here to celebrate the first ever Golden Prom." Additionally, he ignites the competition. "We are gonna have a lot of fun here today." But of course, who tonight will be crowned Prom King? Undeniably, Joan Vassos will have a tough decision. But Gary is ready to party. He says, "I'm gonna just let loose out there." While the men are grooving on the dance floor, Mark Anderson is the bad boy that snuck in a flask to spike the punch. However, Joan Vassos doesn't seem to mind. She even seems to become his accomplice in the matter. Joan Vassos admits retro senior prom is the perfect first date. Although the guys had to split their time with Joan Vassos, they seem to have fun anyway. The preview shows Joan getting photos with Mark Anderson, Guy Gansert, Jordan Heller, and so much more. But most importantly, Joan had a blast getting to know each of the men a little better. She says, "We're having such a good time. It's just like the perfect first date." Joan Vassos had always been a hopeless romantic, the kind of woman who saw every first date as an opportunity to create something memorable, to craft a scene straight out of an old-timey love story. So when her latest suitor, Charles, a dashing widower with a flair for nostalgia, asked her out for their very first date, she had a flash of inspiration that she simply couldn't resist. The idea hit her as she was flipping through a box of memories she kept tucked away in her attic. Inside were faded photographs of her high school years, her prom picture at the top of the stack, staring back at her like an old, long-lost friend. Joan, in a powder blue dress with a sweetheart neckline, her hair styled in soft waves, stood arm in arm with her teenage crush. It was the kind of picture that captured a moment frozen in time, full of youthful exuberance and unspoken dreams. That's when it clicked. A retro-themed senior prom. What could be more fun, more whimsical, and more downright unforgettable for a first date? Joan couldn't hold back her excitement when she called Charles. "How would you feel about attending a prom with me?" she asked, her voice brimming with enthusiasm. "Prom?" Charles chuckled, clearly taken aback. "At our age?" "Yes, a senior prom, literally. Think of it as a do-over for what we never got to experience when we were young." Charles's laughter turned into a thoughtful pause. "You know what? That actually sounds like a blast." With that, the planning began. Joan wasn't one to go halfway on anything, especially when it came to matters of the heart. She spent the next few days scouring vintage shops and online boutiques, determined to find the perfect retro prom dress. She settled on a sequin number in vibrant pink, with a cinched waist and tulle skirt that made her feel like she just stepped out of a 1950s time capsule. Charles, of course, would be her perfect complement in a classic tuxedo, complete with a bow tie and pocket square. The venue. A charming ballroom that looked like it had been plucked straight from a black and white film. Joan had rented the space for the evening, complete with a live band that specialized in golden oldies. She wanted the full experience, the slow dances, the upbeat jitterbugs, and that special moment when the band would play the perfect romantic ballad under a glittering disco ball. When the big night finally arrived, Joan found herself standing in front of her mirror, feeling butterflies in her stomach. At 68, she never thought she'd feel the same kind of nervous excitement that she had felt as a teenager getting ready for her actual prom. But here she was, touching up her lipstick and fluffing out her curls, ready to relive a dream she hadn't known she still harbored. Charles arrived at her door, looking every bit the dapper gentleman. He even had a corsage in hand, which he nervously pinned to Joan's wrist after fumbling with it for a moment. "I haven't done this in decades," he admitted with a sheepish grin. Joan smiled back, appreciating the gesture. "Neither have I," she replied. "But that's what makes this fun." As they walked into the ballroom, Joan was transported. The soft glow of twinkle lights illuminated the polished wooden floor, and the band was already playing a smooth rendition of Unchained Melody. Couples, some younger, some older, were twirling and swaying to the music, dressed in a kaleidoscope of retro styles. The air smelled faintly of punch and popcorn, adding to the nostalgic atmosphere. Charles led her to the dance floor, and as they started to move, Joan couldn't help but laugh. "I feel like I'm 16 again," she said, tilting her head up to meet his gaze. "Me too," he said softly, holding her a little closer as they swayed in time with the music. "I never went to my prom, you know. I always thought it was a silly thing. But now, standing here with you, I see why people make such a fuss over it." Joan raised an eyebrow. "You're telling me this is your first prom experience?" "Yep. First time. And I have to say, it's the best first date I could have imagined." They danced through the evening, and with each song, Joan felt the years melt away. She watched other couples too, sharing in the simple joy of the evening. There was something magical about it, seeing people from all walks of life, young and old, all coming together to share a moment of innocent fun, lost in the rhythm of the past. When the band started playing a slow version of Earth Angel, Charles pulled Joan into a close embrace. For a moment, it was as if nothing else existed but the music and the gentle sway of their bodies. Joan rested her head on his chest, feeling his heartbeat sync with hers. "I don't think I could have asked for a more perfect evening," Charles whispered into her hair. Joan smiled, her eyes closed, savoring the moment. "I always thought first dates had to be special, but I didn't realize how right I was until tonight."